All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving deep into a company that operates in an industry famous for one thing: destroying investor capital. Seriously, most professional money won't even touch this space. We're talking about Kaynes technology, and this is our institutional take. Yeah, anyone who's been in the markets for a while knows this in their bones. This isn't just a saying, it's a brutal truth. And look, we're starting with this because you have to respect the graveyard. You can't just waltz in and think you found the one exception without understanding why everyone else failed. So, what makes this industry such a death trap for money? Well, it's a perfect storm, really. You have customers constantly squeezing you on price, which means your margins are paper thin, always. Then, you're usually at the mercy of one or two huge clients. If they walk, you're toast. But the real assassins here, the ones that get you in your sleep? Working capital explosions and inventory traps. These things can bleed a company dry before the quarterly report even comes out. And that leads us right to the heart of the matter, the central question we have to answer. Is Kaynes technology really different? Or, let's just be blunt about it, is this just another glorified assembly shop putting on a tech company costume? That's what we're here to figure out. Okay, this right here is the whole game. On one side, you've got your typical commodity electronics manufacturer. They just build to print. It's a brutal race to the bottom on price, and your margins are always getting crushed. But on the other side, you have the Kaynes model. This is totally different. They're not just building, they're co-developing the product with the client. They're literally embedding their engineering deep inside the product's DNA, and that creates massive, massive switching costs. And this gets us to the one single principle that I swear most investors just gloss over. You have to get this. Design in is destiny. Say it again. Design in is destiny. Once Kaynes is designed into a critical system, ripping them out is a nightmare. It's not just expensive, it's a massive, time-consuming, risky headache for the customer. This is the foundation of their entire moat. So where does this really matter? Where does this design-in model become an ironclad advantage? It's in the places where failure is just not an option. Think about it. Industrial automation. If a line goes down, you're losing money by the second. Cars and EVs, we're talking about safety systems here. Brakes, steering. And then you get to railways, aerospace, defense. There is absolutely zero tolerance for failure. We're not talking about your phone glitching. We're talking about mission-critical life or death systems. Okay, time for the first part of our analysis. We call this the cash honesty test. Because look, in this industry, profits on an income statement can be, let's say, creative. But cash doesn't lie. So now we're going to put Kaynes financials through the ringer. And trust me, this is exactly where most of their competitors just completely fall apart. So here's the big question we have to answer with the numbers. Is all this growth we're seeing real? Or is it just a magic trick, Are they just borrowing from the balance sheet, playing games with when they pay their suppliers versus when they get paid by customers to make the top line look good? And here it is. This is the lie detector. What you're seeing is that cash from operations is basically moving in lockstep with their reported earnings, their EBITDA. Why does this matter? Because it proves the earnings are real. They're not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They're backed by actual, cold, hard cash flowing into the business. This is a massive green flag. It tells you right away there are no accounting shenanigans going on here. So, the cash is real. Great. But are they doing anything smart with it? Well, look at this. Return on capital employed consistently over 25%. That's your answer. In simple terms, for every $100 they put into the business, they're generating more than $25 in profit. That's not just growth. That's incredibly high-quality, efficient growth. It screams discipline and smart capital allocation. And their return on equity? Even better. And how are they funding all this? Not with a mountain of debt. Their debt to equity is consistently low, which points to a really conservative, disciplined balance sheet. This is so important. They're using what we call productive leverage, smart debt to build new capacity, not survival leverage, which is what weak companies use to just stay afloat. And you see that same discipline in the fact that the promoters have stable shareholding. Their skin is in the game for the long haul. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room for any EMS company, working capital. And yes, their cycle is long. But here's the key. It's not chaotic. It's predictable. It's a structural feature of dealing with big industrial and government clients, not a red flag of distress. And has it held them back? Well, with revenue growing at over 55% a year and profits growing over 100% a year for the last 3 years, I'd say no. And they're doing it with stable, healthy margins. That's the mic drop. So the financials check out, they're clean, they're strong. But honestly, that's the easy part. Now we get to the much harder and frankly more important question. Is the moat actually real, or is this company just riding a temporary wave of hype? We need to separate the real durable advantage from the flavor of the month narratives like China plus one.
Let's just be crystal clear about this. China plus one is not a moat. It's a tailwind. It's a temporary window. And if your whole investment case for a company is based on a government policy, you're standing on quicksand. We have to look for something much, much deeper than that.
So if they're not fighting in the mud with the low-cost guys, who are they actually competing with? Well, this really clears it up. They're not even in the same league as the commodity assemblers. They don't compete on price. What they do is take on the complex engineering headaches that the big original equipment manufacturers, the OEMs, absolutely hate doing themselves. And against the other global specialists, they win because they're local, they're faster, and they're more responsive. And this right here, this is the source of their real pricing power. Think about it from their customer's perspective. The cheapest vendor is the most expensive mistake. The person buying from Kaynes isn't trying to save a few bucks on a circuit board. They're buying insurance against catastrophic failure. They are paying a premium for reliability. And that's a conversation that has nothing to do with being the lowest bidder. All right, so what could actually blow this whole thing up? This is how we think about risk. The stuff that could truly kill the company, a massive quality failure, a huge mistake by the promoters. The impact would be extreme, but right now the probability looks low. And with those major kill switches looking well managed, what about the price? Yeah, the PE ratio looks high if you just glance at it, but when you compare it to other high reliability players and factor in their insane growth and returns, you realize you're paying a premium for quality, not just chasing hype. Okay, so that brings us to the resolution, the final verdict. The company has passed the financial stress tests. It's passed the moat stress tests. Now it's time to put it all together and deliver the final no-nonsense conclusion. Let's boil this entire analysis down to the 5 core pillars. 1. This is a design-led engineering firm, not a cheap assembler. 2. They are deeply embedded in mission-critical products. 3. They're protected by insane qualification hurdles and the fact that their customers can't afford failure. 4. They're run by smart, disciplined people. And 5. The numbers are clean, especially on cash flow and returns on capital. That's the whole thesis. So, based on all of that, our final verdict is simple. Approved. We see this as a high-conviction, long-duration compounder. It's the kind of business built for patient, long-term capital, not hot money. But how do you actually build a position in something like this? Well, you don't just go all in on day one. A professional approach is disciplined. It's done in stages. You start with a base position. Then you add more when you see proof of key milestones, like a new factory coming online successfully. Maybe you add more during a broad market panic that has nothing to do with the company. The point is, you manage risk. You don't chase the stock. And this is just as important, if not more important, than your buy thesis. You have to know, in advance, what would make you sell. These are our non-negotiable exit triggers. A big quality screw-up, spending a ton of money on new plants before the orders are there, a permanent drop in their return on capital. If any of these things happen, the thesis is broken. You don't make excuses, you don't average down, you reevaluate, and you probably get out. And let me be really, really clear on one final thing. This stock will punish impatience. It just will. If you're looking for a quick pop, if you need a hot story to tell your friends, if you want something that's going to double by next quarter, please go look somewhere else. This is not for you. This is built for an entirely different mindset and a much longer time frame. Which really brings us to our final thought. What we have here is boring excellence. And you know what? Boring excellence is where serious capital belongs. In a market that's obsessed with hype and noise, the real goal isn't to feel smarter every day. It's to feel safer. And finding disciplined, predictable, excellent businesses like this, well, that's exactly how you get there.